Hey there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today I have a really fun project to share with you, and I'm creating this sweet little pocket folio using only one bag from the Dollar Tree. It has gussets on the side, so that means we have a shortcut to easy to create pockets. Plenty of room inside for your pictures and journaling. I was also able to get through a lot of papers from my stash, so this is a really good stash buster project. It was fast and easy to make, making it ideal for craft fairs or gifts or stocking stuffers. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. So here's that bag from the Dollar Tree, and they're pretty much standard. This is a little over 12.5 inches high by 9.5 inches wide. And so that is going to be perfect for our project because we're going to get a lot of usable space out of it. And the first thing I want to do is deconstruct this bag, and I want to make it easier to cut. And so if it's flatter, I'll be able to utilize my guillotine cutter. And so that is what I want to do. I also want to remove the handle here, and it's just put through that hole like a little eyelet here. And so I'll pull these out, and this is nice. I can reserve this for another project. That for both sides, and I'm not really even concerned about the hang tag here. So the first step, as I mentioned, is to deconstruct this, and I want to pull this apart so that I can fold it flat. And I'll just get up under here, see, and then pull. It doesn't matter if it gets damaged on the bottom because this is the portion that will cut off. And that bottom flap open. And then I'll fold that back onto itself. So just press where that score line would have been. You see, and now I've got that flat. I want to come in and cut it right here. So we're not worried about any of this, and I just want to get a good straight edge. So I've got my guillotine cutter. I'll just slide that underneath and right up to just the side of that score line, and then I'll cut it, keeping it nice and square and even. Then I'll flip it around here so that I'm taking off that top portion, sliding that back under. And I'm going to cut this now to be 9 inches wide. You may have to remove it, flip that over, and then cut from the other side as well, just so that you can get through the multiple paper layers. You can discard this portion also. We're going to turn it now so that fold is on the outside. Slide that under and cut that to be 4.5 inches. Bring that back in with the fold and cut 4.5 inches on this side. So your goal is to leave that portion, and this is what we're going to have to be our pockets. So now you want to open that up and cut here. And so it's easier to cut in a valley, so move that right back underneath and position that. You don't have to worry about that score line because you can cut just on the either side of it. And then you would do that for the other side as well. I'm also just going to take a minute to cut off that folded portion. So now you're going to have 4 of these, and this is going to become our pocket. I'm going to bring this to my scoreboard and score that at 4.5. I'll do that for all of these pieces. Fold that on your score line. And then come in and cut just a little bit on the side of where the score line is on the bottom, keeping that as straight as you can. This is going to reduce some of the bulk. So when you open that and refold that, you'll be able to get that folded properly without the bulk of that in the middle. So I'd say just go ahead and use that as a template to cut the remaining pieces. Now when you fold these up, you're going to wind up with 8 pockets total. You see how this is starting to come together. Now you want to close up the ends of your pockets, but before you do that, you want to add some pattern paper and cardstock on the inside that will add the additional sturdiness and thickness that you want, but also finish off the insides as well. So now that we have our book that is 4.5 by 4.5, you're going to wind up with a cardstock measurement of 4 3/8 by 4 3/8, and the pattern paper is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and we'll just lay that in there. We're going to get a little border of the white from the bag and then our solid color cardstock, and you'll just want to match that to whatever collection that you're working with. And now you can see we're adding so much thickness and sturdiness with these additional layers. You don't have to add these. I think it would be very nice and much faster if you didn't have that. But see, now when we close that pocket up, I did create a sample so that I could determine if I could score this bag paper that is a little glossy and not have a crack showing, and it worked perfectly. So I think that was a good use of a sample bag. And then for this bag, I did have a solid color that was the gusset, and that would wind up to be the pocket. And so I would consider for this one to go ahead and continue to use a floral or a busy pattern in the background. But for this one, the floral continued into the gusset. So I'm going to pick geometrics for that so that I'll have a nice contrast. And I will go ahead and continue doing that for all of these layers. I think you should consider when choosing your bags to get a non-directional pattern, and that way it'll be easier to work with, or a solid color. They have those as well. At the time that I picked the bag that I have for today's project, it was not on my radar to create these for holiday projects, but this is working out so well, and I think that you could definitely make these for any season. If I go back to the Dollar Tree, I am fairly certain they will have Christmas bags out and fall and potentially Halloween. I'm not sure on that one, but I will definitely be creating these for all the seasons, so I'll be on the lookout for those. I also think if you picked up 2 bags for each project, you could cut them to be 6 inches high. And so that would be a little bit of a larger pocket folio if that is what you wanted to create. But you're just going to have to get 2 bags to get the right amount of surface to cover. So now we have all of these added for the insides of those pages. We want to come in now and seal up that pocket. So I'm going to add a little bit of my Tombow here and then press that into place. I'll give it time enough to set up. I'll probably put a heavy book on that, and then I'll come back when I have all these set. Going to be very careful to keep that glue away from the very edge so that it doesn't squish out. And then I'll just repeat that process, closing up the side of that pocket. Set this aside, put a weight on that so that it will have good pressure while that glue sets up. And then I'll come back when I have all these done. That glue has had time to set up now, and I want to bring these together so that it become our folio. Now, it is a very good idea to use your 2 glue combo for this because that surface is a little bit glossy. So we want to make sure that it is well adhered. So for 3 of these, I did add a layer of my double-sided adhesive tape, and then here is my Tombow. I'll bring these together, making sure that I keep my pockets in the right direction and keeping it straight and even along the bottom and the sides. And I will just repeat that process for the remaining 2. The double-sided tape will keep that in place while our glue sets up so we can continue to work along. Here's the next one. Make sure that you give that enough pressure for that glue to set up. I also want to consider if any of that bag has an additional raised section. This one had a more of a pattern on the front that was raised, so I'm going to keep that one in the front because it looks a little bit nicer. I've added a little strip of my double-sided adhesive tape right to the top there, and then I'll just come in with this beautiful brown plaid ribbon that is so perfect for fall, and just add that. This is how I'm going to tie this up to keep everything nice and secure. And so for my folios that don't start with pattern paper as the base, I would come in with a solid color cardstock and then have a pattern paper on top of that. But this one has that already, so I can skip to the final additions to have detail on the cover. And so of course I want to add a die cut doily. I'm adding this with my 2 combo. Remember, that is glossy paper, so we want to make sure everything is well secured, and this is just showing a little bit of that pattern, so that is perfect. I also have a circle die cut here of the same cardstock I used on the inside along with one of the patterns, and this portion is put up on foam spacers, so we're going to get a little dimension out of that. So when we work on the inside of our book here, remember we have 8 pockets, so I'm going to bring in some images from my shop. This is the Woodland Halloween printable, and so even though it's Halloween, I think these colors are so perfect for fall that they will work equally well for that. So there's just a whole bunch of cute little critters here, and for this book I'm able to use all of them in the printable. So there would be 9. I have 8 pockets, so that fills these pockets up perfectly. And you can see there is room for additional mementos or keepsakes. If you don't have a printable, you could easily use the cut apart images from a collection. So if you had Halloween or Christmas and that collection had cut aparts, you could use those as well. And because this is a 4.5-inch page, you'll be able to use the 3x4 and the 4x4 in there. So you can really load this up. Let's put one of these cute little critters in each of the pockets. And this will add additional bulk and sturdiness. I actually printed that and then added it to a piece of sturdy cardstock. And then I left the back so that you could add your journaling to that or additional pictures. And all of this bulk just really makes it nice and chunky. That is definitely what you want. Let's tie this up now. And if you wanted to leave this as a sweet and simple project, then you could leave it right here and it would be totally fine. I think it's so cute. And if you're making them for craft fair, you could really knock a lot of these out and use up a lot of your stash. So you don't have to have those inside pages matching. You could mix and match all you want, and that is good to get through the paper that you have and make room for new collections. But I do want to add my favorite finishing details, so I'm going to go for a little bit more for the sweet and simple, but more toward a more finished album. I cut one of the images from that printable. I just fussy cut that right around because I wanted to have a little bit of the background showing. And I think the owl is so perfect for fall. I did create a small flower arrangement with just 2 flowers here. These are chrysanthemums from Really Reasonable Ribbon. I've added that to brown foliage here and some loopy twine bows and netting, and of course a little bit more of that sweet plaid ribbon. And so this is just going to go right along the bottom, and I'll add that with hot glue. This is a smaller arrangement, and that is going to fit perfectly right into the corner, so none of the fragile bits will go out over the edge. Now you can see that I have room for a sweet little matching charm, and I just found this little owl, and so I'm going to position this here so that I can add my hot glue to the paper. That way I'll know it will stick well, and it didn't really stick so well on that glossy paper, so I'm just shifting that over. And then I'll just tap that cut string with a pretty little button. Now, I don't have a lot of room on the front of this, so I did not elect to add the usual sequins that I do, but I think this is so cute and perfect. It will make a great gift, and it was easy to put together and very budget friendly because this one album was made from just one bag from the Dollar Tree and papers from my stash. So that's going to be all for our tutorial today, and I sure do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Check the description for links. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.